Volume Warning. Rant incoming. One, two, three. Om. Om. I got some things to say about this book. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Sean. Today I am reviewing Sphere by Michael Crichton. So this is actually like the last Michael Crichton book I need to read. I've read all of his other books that he wrote under his own name. He also wrote like, I don't know how many, like 8 or so other books under his own, under a pen name, and I've read one of those, but this is the last Michael Crichton book in his own name I have not read. The reason I have left this one to last is because reading a lot of reviews of Michael Crichton, a lot of people say that Sphere is their favorite book by Michael Crichton, like potentially even ahead of Jurassic Park. So I've been kind of thinking, you know, hey, I'm gonna save that book for last. So I put it on my to-read list for this year, 25 books to read in 2025. I had high hopes for it because so many Michael Crichton fans list it as their favorite book by him or one of their favorite books by him. I did not know anything about this book before reading it, and okay, it did not really take me long to start triggering things in my brain that made me not freaking like this book. To put it mildly, I did not like this book, and so here we go to go through some of the reasons why. I don't know how detailed into the plot to go. I mean, I can't really avoid this because this is something I like have to talk about. So what I will say for the book basically is that the plot of the book is there is a crash in the South Pacific, and so this guy goes there like as part of this team to investigate this wreckage of this crash. And really early on, you know, I don't really like saying this because this is kind of a spoiler, but I can't really avoid it. So I will just say spoilers in this review. If you don't want to know the spoilers, I will just tell you now, this is a 1-star book. I hated this book. So if you don't want spoilers and you just want to know the rating, it's a 1-star rating. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you in another video. Otherwise, to be more detailed about my issues with this book. So the plot, there's this craft that crashes in the South Pacific, and so this guy goes to investigate it, and they say it's like 300 years old, and it's like a spacecraft. And anyway, so yeah, so basically the plot of the book was like, oh, so this is actually a book about aliens. And I'm not sure if I've really read a Michael Crichton book about that. There is something like that in the Andromeda strain, because that's basically the premise of the Andromeda strain, is there's some kind of like microbes or something from another world or whatever in it. They come to Earth, and that's like our first contact with alien life or whatever. But anyway, this is supposed to be like a spacecraft, you know, so aliens. So I was like, okay, Michael Crichton's take on aliens. This is going to be interesting. But there were just so many problems I had with his book, namely the protagonist. This guy was just so incredibly dense, and what he would do is whenever someone would say something, he would repeat basically what they just said in the form of a question. This guy is a complete moron, and I'm going to enjoy going through some of the examples of this. I'm not even going to go through all of the examples of this because it's like every page, almost every line of dialogue this guy has, he asks some kind of real obvious question that the person he was talking to just told him, like they just told you this, and this guy is just a complete moron. And so basically What I think Michael Crichton does so well in my two favorite books by him, Jurassic Park and Airframe, is he has a real intelligent cast. So basically, like with Jurassic Park, you have Alan Grant, who's like the expert on, the dinosaur bones and all of that. Ellie, I think her name is, the other character, Sadler or whatever, she is like an expert in plants. And then Ian Malcolm is an expert in chaos theory and mathematics. So all of these characters are intelligent. So they do not know everything about everything. So the way Michael Crichton like conveys different parts of the plot to the readers, he has real intelligent characters who maybe don't know these certain things from all these different fields, like the dinosaur bones and the plant life and the chaos theory stuff, but they're all smart people, so they are quick learners. And this is kind of a common trope or whatever in a lot of books, especially like science fiction, is you may have a certain character who functions as basically like the way the author conveys information to readers. So in a lot of times for like, outer space stories, it may be a character who is like their first time off world or whatever, so they don't know how everything works. So they ask, oh, what's this? What's this? What's that? How does that work? And that's how the author explains things. And usually how a lot of authors do it is these characters are complete morons. And I think they're just so annoying because these people are idiots. And it's like, I don't need to have all this stuff explained to me, or whatever. It's just, I find it really annoying a lot of times. But what Michael Crichton does in Jurassic Park and Airframe is the characters are all experts in their field. So they're smart people and they're quick learners. So basically, those characters make me feel very smart because since they learn things quickly, I learn things quickly. But when a character is just a complete moron, it bothers me because it's just, I hate it. And that's what Michael Crichton does in this book. The guy is a complete moron. And it's the same thing with Airframe. So that's the other book I mentioned. With Airframe, the main character, the protagonist, is like involved in like the airline industry, and I forget exactly what she does, but she's something dealing with like the safety of the airplanes. So she's not an expert in like everything about the airplane. So she goes around to like different engineers, one who may work the wings of the planes, one who may do the engines or whatever, and she knows like generally how things work, but she may not know everything. And so that's why the other characters may just give a real specific bit of information about something that she does not know. But she is a smart person, so she is not just like, duh, what's an airplane, But that is basically the level Michael Crichton does it in this book. In Jurassic Park, the people aren't like, duh, what's a dinosaur? Or what's cloning? Or like when they say like, oh yeah, we used the DNA from mosquitoes that were trapped in amber. You don't have the characters saying like cloning or amber or whatever, DNA. These are all smart characters, but not in Sphere. So I've basically said enough about it. So now I could go through some of the more like details about page by page what this moron character said and did. Oh god, I just hated this guy so much. I am sorry, I am beginning this video on like an 11 intensity out of 10, and I really shouldn't be that high. I should like build up to it, build up my anger. But I can't. I just can't do it because I'm so frustrated with this guy. I hate this dude, and I can't wait to show you guys why. So, without further ado, let's go into the details, page by page basically, of why I hated this dude. Okay, so we begin the book where this guy, he's a psychologist or something. He is being flown on a helicopter to the South Pacific, and they're like in the middle of nowhere, and he keeps asking questions like, where are we? And the guy says like, oh yeah, we're like 200 miles between Fiji and New Zealand or Samoa or something. And there's like 200 miles from nothing. And the guy is like, can you show me on a chart or whatever? It's like, God, right there the guy was being annoying, but I didn't even like highlight those for you guys. But here's one at the bottom that already shows you what kind of guy this is. is, the guy asks, how much longer until we get there? The dude is literally saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Again, I'm not even highlighting like every stupid question this guy says. Almost every line of dialogue this guy says is a question. But here we are. Do you know the captain, sir? No. Why? It's like there's this fleet in the middle of the ocean that's like supervising this wreckage, investigating this wreckage. And so they're bringing this guy to talk with the captain, like in charge of the entire fleet, in charge of the operation. Do you know the captain, sir? No. Why? It's like, hey, just asking, dude, like, have you ever met this captain before? All you should do is just say, no, I haven't met him before. Why would he say why? So this guy just lands on the ship from the helicopter. And so someone says, hey, good trip, sir? Fine. Need to go, sir? I've just arrived. No, I mean, do you need to go to the head, sir? This freaking moron, as soon as he gets there, they're like, what? I'm sorry, I am so frustrated with this guy already. I can't even express myself. And then, earlier in the book, this guy mentions how he wants to call his family. And so right here, he says, I'd like to call my family. This guy is like in the middle of the South Pacific. It's like middle of nowhere for hundreds of miles. This huge military operation. And the first thing this guy is like is, I'd like to call my family. Michael Crichton was probably trying to show this guy like he cares about his family or whatever. Or he has family issues. But still, it's like, can you not just do the work for a few minutes, Just know right away, as soon as he gets there, I want to call my family. This after this guy was all saying, are we there yet? Oh my God, this guy is annoying me right from the beginning. Then this is an example of what I mean, where someone says something and the very next thing this guy says is to repeat that information he just learned. So, air conditioning hasn't gone out lately. Does the air conditioning go out often? Why would he say the air conditioning hasn't gone out lately? Like, hey, well, at least the air conditioning hasn't gone out lately. That word lately means that it does happen. So why would this idiot say, does the air conditioning go out often? Obviously, it goes out often enough where this guy would point out that, hey, at least the air conditioning hasn't gone out lately. But no, this moron doesn't even get that. Does the air conditioning go out often? Like, yeah, dude, he just told you. Air conditioning hasn't gone out lately. That means it does tend to go out. So, this guy meets with the captain of this, entire, search expedition or whatever. And so, they're kind of just bantering back and forth, getting to know each other. And so the captain, Barnes, says, what'd they tell you? Who? This guy says, who do you think, when they picked you up at your house and said, hey, there's an incident, we need you to fly to the South Pacific. So the captain asks, what'd they tell you? And this guy says, who? Who does he think? So this is actually my favorite reveal in the book because again, I did not know anything about this book before starting it. So there's this crashed aircraft in the South Pacific. And so then they say it's a spacecraft. So then the guy is like, oh, so it's a NASA spacecraft. So Barnes, the captain, says, no, this spacecraft crashed 300 years ago. Now, to any rational person, when you say that the spacecraft crashed 300 years ago, this is set in the 1980s. So the space program is only 20 years old. So this guy would have witnessed the first satellite and all that, the first manned mission to space and all that. He would have witnessed the first space flight in the last 20 years. So when the captain says, no, this spacecraft that crashed 300 years ago, any moron would know if the entire space program, globally, has only existed for 20 years, if this spacecraft is 300 years old, it's obviously not a human spacecraft. It would obviously be aliens. But what does this complete moron think? 300 years ago, he thought, a spacecraft 300 years old. But the space program wasn't 300 years old. It was barely 30 years old. This complete moron, he needs to actually do the math, But hang on, we didn't have a space program 300 years ago. This absolute moron. They did not even have flight 100 years ago. And this moron is like, oh, we didn't have a space program 300 years ago. You moron! George Washington wasn't alive 300 years ago. And this guy is saying we didn't have a space program 300 years ago. Absolute complete moron. So that part was like, oh my god. At that point, I was like up to my ears with this character. Like, this guy is so freaking dense. He is a complete moron. Because as soon as there was the line, no, the spacecraft I always mix up my words. The spacecraft crashed 300 years ago. As soon as I read that line, I was like, okay, so it's an alien spacecraft. But no, this freaking moron, but we didn't have a space program 300 years ago. Moron! Okay, then the next page. The crash occurred in the ocean? This guy asked, like, why do you think they have this entire naval fleet there looking, investigating this wreckage? And this guy knows there's wreckage down there. And they told him this crash is from 300 years ago. And he knows it's down there in the ocean. And this freaking moron says the crash occurred in the ocean. And just before, like I said, they told him, like, they're 200 miles or whatever from anything. There's no islands within 200 miles. And so the guy asks, the crash occurred in the ocean? No, you frickin' moron. It crashed on the runway. No, there's no islands for 200 miles. You know there's a spacecraft down there on the ocean floor. So, yes, you frickin' moron. It crashed in the ocean. What does he think happened? Like, no, it crashed on an island and bounced 300 miles out into the ocean. This guy, he's just so incredibly dense. He's a complete moron. So then it goes into a little bit of backstory, and basically you find out this guy, like, he was previously in contact with the government because they wanted to, like, you know, basically plan ahead for, like, possible alien contact or whatever. So they're kind of like beginning to get this guy, like, in the know for, like, you know, alien stuff. Like, hey, you know, we need your input on this in case we ever make alien contact, you know? So this guy from the government tells this dude, we'll just need to get you a security clearance, the lawyer said. And this moron, I need security clearance? You freaking moron! They're talking about giving you access to the government's, like, alien program, like top secret, like, hey, if aliens make contact with us, you're going to be on the front lines, you know, we need to, like, be ready for this, and so we need to give you security clearance. And this moron, I need security clearance? Like, no, you freaking moron. They're gonna let you, like, into the know for the classified alien space plan or whatever, but they're not gonna need to give you any kind of security clearance. They're not gonna need to look into your background or anything. They're not going to have you sign any, like, classified information promises or whatever. No, they're just going to, like, give you whatever forms, no questions asked. This guy's a complete moron. So, Dr. Johnson, the lawyer, said, snapping his briefcase shut, this project is top secret. Like, obviously. That's fine with me, Norman said, and he meant it. He could imagine his colleagues' reaction if they ever found out about this. So that's this guy's first thought is, man, wait till the guys at work find out that I'm working with the government on alien first contact stuff. This guy, why would you give this guy security clearance? This guy is, oh my god, I just can't stand this guy so much. I'm so sorry. I'm getting so frustrated. I really meant to, like, build up more of my frustration, slowly build up my frustration, but I can't. I am so frustrated with this book and with this guy. Oh my god, I hate him so much. So, a few pages later, this dude is still wanting to call his family. So, this other character says, and there's no calls in or out. Just jumping ahead a little bit, so they're toward the middle of the page. What did you say about no calls in or out? I promised to call Ellen, you know, I promised to call my wife. Like, dude, you know that this is like a top secret. There's an alien spacecraft crashed in the middle of the ocean and you're checking it out. Super high secret. Like, I'd be worried about these people killing me. But no, this guy is still thinking, what do you mean I can't call out? This guy is just so freaking dense. But anyway, jumping back up there, and there's no calls in or out. Yes, Norman, I think it must be real. So this other character says, like, they're talking like, do you believe all this like alien spacecraft stuff is real? So she says, yes, I think it must be real. And so then this guy says, there's a spacecraft down there. She just said yes. She thinks it's real. She thinks there's an alien spacecraft down there. They know the fleet's there and they're looking at wreckage at the bottom of the ocean. Yes, she thinks it's real. So, yes, there's a spacecraft down there. These are just more examples of this guy's dense behavior. Anytime anyone says anything to him, he just repeats the same thing they just said to him and just asks a question. So, what do you mean you have confidence for what's coming? What's coming? He asks. Question. Well, it's only rumors so far, but blah, blah, blah. What rumors? They're sending us down there, Beth said. Down where? Down where, this guy says. There's an alien spacecraft at the bottom of the ocean. They know about it. That's why this whole fleet is there. That's what everything about this situation is dealing with, is this alien spacecraft or whatever down on the ocean floor. And this character says, they're sending us down there. And what's this dense idiot say? Down where? Where do you think, you frickin' moron? Down to the bottom of the ocean to check out the alien spacecraft! Oh my god, this guy. So, a few pages later, what was the Russian reaction to this discovery, of the spacecraft? We haven't told the Russians, Barnes said. You haven't told them? Yes, you idiot. They just told you. We haven't told the Russians. So why do you ask? You haven't told them? He just told you, we haven't told the Russians. So why does he ask, you haven't told them? And then the guy just has to repeat, no, we haven't. Like, dude, the Americans just discovered possibly an alien spacecraft from 300 years ago, crashed in the middle of the ocean. Why would we go running to the Russians and tell them, like, right away, hey, we found an alien spacecraft? Wouldn't we want to, like, do all the work on it first to make sure like we are ahead of whatever is down there, like any kind of weapons technology or any kind of possible threat that the aliens may possess or whatever? We would want to know those things before the Russians. This is the 1980s, so we're still like, real close to war with the Russians. So of course, if we find out like an alien spacecraft, of course we're going to want to know and investigate it first. We're not just going to go tell the Russians. And so this moron, what was the Russian reaction? Whatever. We haven't told the Russians. You haven't told them? They told you that. They just said we haven't told the Russians. So after like this entire briefing where this Captain Barnes tells all about like the alien spacecraft down at the bottom and everything, and like introduces this psychologist guy to this team of people who will be going down there to check out the alien spacecraft. So Barnes said back in his office, what do you think? Of what? This moron says, of the team for... What do you think? What's he asking? What do you think? Like, what do you think about the Yankees' upcoming season? No. What do you think about the alien spacecraft and this team to go down to investigate it? Going down to the ocean floor and opening up this spacecraft and going inside and making contact with aliens. What do you think of that? This guy, this complete moron. Of what? Oh, God, this dense dude. This captain says, I want to know who will crack, because this guy is like a, psychologist or whatever. That's his function on this team. So the captain says, I want to know who will crack. Why should anybody crack? Norman said. Why do you think, you frickin' moron? Because all these people would be going down to the ocean floor, like, I don't know how far down, 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, whatever, to investigate an alien spacecraft from 300 years ago, and they do not know if there's going to actually be alien life on that spacecraft. For all they know, there could be aliens down there. So why would anybody crack going down to the ocean floor to make contact with an alien spacecraft and an alien race from 300 years ago? Why would anyone crack? Jesus, because people could panic just going down into a submarine because they don't like confined spaces. They could crack because of the nervousness of going down to the ocean floor. They could crack because they're claustrophobic. They could crack because they are nervous and stressed that this is like an alien spacecraft and meeting meeting with an alien race. That would be very stressful stuff. So why would anybody crack? Oh, I don't know, because this is a very stressful situation. Just more examples of this guy. Anytime he talks, he just asks a question. Like what? Like the fact, blah, blah, blah. He does, blah, blah, blah. What circumstances? Blah, blah, blah. Then what is it? I think it's quite clear what it is. Not to me, Norman said. Yeah, it's not clear to him because guy is a complete moron. Every single time this guy speaks, it's a question. And so often, the people who are talking to him give him the information he needs. Like, we're going down there. And this guy's like, down where? And they're like, this is a crashed alien spacecraft from 300 years ago. And he's like, we didn't have a space program 300 years ago. Oh my God, this guy is a complete moron. So I think it's quite clear what it is. Not to me, Norman said. Of course it's not clear to Norman because Norman is a complete moron. Like the people in charge of this investigation, they should be able to tell right away from all of these questions, dude, Norman, I was going to call him moron because his name is so close to that. This guy is a moron and his name is Norman. Norman the moron. I think it's quite clear what it is. Not to me. Of course not, Norman. You're a complete freaking moron. Just more questions from this moron. So, what's all this for? Norman asked. So basically, they're putting him in this tank and they're checking his vitals and all that. And they're equipping him with a dive suit and all that. What's all this for? Norman asked. What do you think, you moron? You're going down there 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet to the bottom of the ocean floor to investigate this alien spacecraft. And so they're putting you in a tank and doing measurements and stuff. What do you think it's for? They're preparing you for the dive to the ocean floor, you moron. I'm sorry, Dr. Johnson, if you would completely immerse yourself. What? So this guy's getting in this tank and this guy says you have to go completely underwater. And what's this guy say? What? You have to completely immerse yourself? What? Just freaking go under the water. They need you to go all the way under the water, dude. And this guy's just, what? And again, what's all this for? Norman asked. You know what it's for, you moron. You're going down to the ocean floor and they're getting you ready to go on this, whatever. And so they're doing more checking everything. And so we need to calculate your stats. My stats? Does this guy need to know everything about everything? I can't stand this dude. And again, what's all this for? Norman said. Fitting you with a helmet, sir. Shouldn't I be trying one on? They're specially making the helmet for him. And he's just oh, well, shouldn't I just try on the helmet? Why are you measuring me? Or whatever they're doing for him. This, oh my God, I just can't stand this dude. And more questions. May I ask when you last consumed an alcoholic beverage, sir? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Why? Because you're going down to the ocean floor. Have you not considered that maybe in case you are drunk, you could pose some kind of a health risk? Or just the fact that if you are just wasted, that maybe they're not going to have you go down to the ocean floor when you're punch drunk? And again, they say something to him, any trouble with joint, hips, or knees? No. Why? Why do you think? Because they're preparing to send you to the bottom of the ocean. So they want to make sure you're in good health. If you cannot walk, if your knees are killed or whatever, they need to know. They're checking on your health because you're going down to the ocean floor to go into an alien spacecraft. And this guy is just, no. Why do you need to know that? God. And then he says, I'd really like some answers, Norman said. Oh my God, I hate this guy so much. He's so freaking dense. He's just every single thing. He asks a question or whatever. He's just so, oh God, this guy. I'd like to know what's going on, Norman says. Oh my God, I want to murder this guy. And again, this is a perfect example of him asking a question, just repeating whatever someone just said to him. So the team is getting ready, going down to the ocean floor. And so this other person on the team, they're talking about the first contact with another form of life. It's a great moment for our species on Earth. I've been wondering about what we should say. And Norman, what does he say? Say? What part of that was unclear? I've been wondering about what we should say. Say? What do you think he means? Like, what should we say to the aliens when we meet them on the ocean floor? Like, when we open the door of the spacecraft and walk in, what do we say? Do we say, hello from Earth? Or whatever. What do we say? And Norman, what does he say? Say? You know, what words? I'm surprised Norman didn't say right here, words. At the threshold, with the cameras rolling. Will there be cameras? This moron! Why would the guy say with the cameras rolling if they're not bringing cameras? Of course, they're going to be bringing cameras. That's why this guy says with the cameras rolling. And Norman, will there be cameras? Obviously, that's why he just said with the cameras rolling. But Norman, oh, will there be cameras? Will we be taking cameras along? We'll be filming this? We'll be filming our first contact with alien life? We will be saying something when we meet the aliens? This frickin' guy! So, gosh, I thought I'd be like building up my anger, but instead I think I'm coming down now. I think I'm kind of relaxing. We're very near the end here. So, they're going down to the ocean. So, they pressurize us, Norman said, switch us over to exotic oxygen, whatever. We can't breathe air down here. Why not? Norman said. Because you're 1,000 or 2,000 feet down the ocean, on the ocean floor. Have you not considered that maybe the oxygen content will be different down there? Have you not considered maybe they're going to have to make sure you get oxygen in a different way and monitor your oxygen intake and all that, and like breathing out the carbon dioxide and all that? So, I mean, it's very obvious if you're going down to the ocean floor, there may be something involving oxygen, but this moron, we can't breathe air down here. Why not? Norman said. Oh, well, maybe because your body can't take in oxygen the same way it can on the surface as it does on the ocean floor. Then we'll be going outside, Norman said, feeling a twinge of alarm. Like, they have already, like, suited this guy up with, like, a dive suit. So, I mean, it's obvious he is going to go, like, outside this submersible or whatever onto like the ocean floor or whatever in some kind of a scuba suit or whatever. You know, they've already rigged him up with that. So this guy then will be going outside, Norman said. Like, why do you think they've been rigging you up with all this like deep underwater spacesuit stuff? Does this guy think they've just been doing that like for a souvenir for him? Like, yes, you'll be going outside. You'll be going onto the ocean floor. You'll be swimming around. That's why they have this like deep undersea suit for you, Norman. And then it says he saw Johnson stenciled above one faceplate. We're going to wear these? Norman asked. Like, you moron. They're like undersea scuba suits or whatever, deep sea suits, and they have the names of the crew on those suits. And this guy says, we're going to wear these? Like, no, Norman, you freaking moron. These are just deep undersea suits that just happen to have other people's names that share names with ours. Like, no, this is a different Johnson, and this is a different Norman on the spacesuit. Like, oh, don't worry, this other Norman is on his way down. This isn't your suit, Norman. This is the other Norman's suit. This moron, like, they have the names of the crew on the deep undersea space suits, whatever. I keep calling them space suits. They're not space suits. But anyway, so Norman, he's just like, oh, are these ours? Like, they've been rigging this guy to wear these suits, and the suits have their names on them. And this guy is like, these are ours? They have your names on them! Okay, this is the last one. Thank God. So, she asked Norman whether he had any... Oh God, this line. This is what actually killed the book for me. So, page 59, this is like, I am done with this frickin' book. So, she asked Norman whether he had any favorite desserts. And Norman, being the genius he is, he asks, desserts? You moron! She says, do you have any favorite desserts? His answer, desserts? Like, do you not know what a dessert is? She asks you, what's your favorite dessert? He says, dessert? This moron, I am so done with this guy. So after this line, I was just like, F this. I am done with this book. Screw it. I don't care if this is like a fan favorite Michael Crichton book. I don't care if it's the last Michael Crichton book I'll ever read. This book is utter trash. What kind of desserts do you like, Norman? Desserts? What's a dessert? Oh my god, this moron. Complete moron. Leave this guy on the bottom of the ocean floor. Kill this dude. Oh my god, I hate him so much. So anyway, that is it for Sphere. I just couldn't stand this dude. He was so dense. He was a complete moron. I couldn't stand him. I couldn't stand the book because of that. I tried to be patient with it. I gave Michael Crichton every chance in the world because fans said this is like their favorite book by him. But the dude triggered me on like page 2 and like alarm bells began going off. And I tried to ignore it, and just every other page, or not every other page, every page, there would be something else that just made me think, God, I hate this dude, he's so dense. And I gave it, you know, whatever, the 50 pages or whatever, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So that is basically my final read by Michael Crichton, Sphere. Utterly hated it. Could not stand the dude. So this is like a true, pure 1-star book. There is nothing good I can say about this book, except the one twist I did like in the book was about the spacecraft and oh, it's 300 years old. That was like a good plot twist or whatever. But it actually says that on the back. It says something about at least 300 years old. So it says the best plot twist in the entire book on the back. Fortunately, I did not read that. If I had, that would have basically spoiled the best part of the book right there on the back of the book. Even though that does, like the reveal of that does happen in the first chapter or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, that is it for my review of Sphere by Michael Crichton. 1-star rating. Utterly hated it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you in another video. Oh, so what I think I will be doing soon is I think I will be tier ranking every Michael Crichton book that I've read. And I love tier ranking videos. So I think I'll be doing one of those for every Michael Crichton book. So thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you in another video. Bye.
2, 3, 4.